Soccer legend McDonald Mariga Wanyama is accustomed to hitting the headlines. But this time round, this gifted soccer player is hitting political headlines. Actually, the whole issue is that he's bang in the center of a mystery, a very disturbing mystery connected to the Jubilee Party, and a mystery that I want us to look at very deeply in this particular show. And I believe we're going to solve it. Yeah, so stick around. Fireworks ahead. And let us start by carefully examining the chain of events that led to the current controversy. It all started with a press conference that took everybody by surprise. Jubilee Party Secretary General Raphael Tuju held a press conference to announce that actually the Jubilee political party would be fielding a candidate in the Kibra by-election. Now, why was this a surprise? Well, we all know that there's a handshake firmly in place. Yeah, very close cooperation between opposition leader Raila Amolo Odinga and President Uhuru Kenyatta. And it is also common knowledge that since the two gentlemen shook hands on the steps of Harambee House, Nairobi, in March 2018, the two political parties, the two political giants in the country, Jubilee and ODM, have been cooperating very closely. For starters, they have avoided, like the plague, any direct political competition between the two parties. The agreement, it seems, is that where Jubilee are strong, ODM will never field a candidate. And where ODM are strong, Jubilee will not try and vie for that same seat. And of course, this made perfect sense. And so yesterday, Raphael Tuju comes out to the press conference and announces, no, this time we are vying in Kibra, which is a well-known ODM stronghold. Indeed, it has been for decades. Now, in case you forgot, hapa ndo mahali waling'oa reli. I believe that was during the 2007 contested presidential elections, Manenos. Now, after this announcement, I would not blame anybody who's a rookie in political analysis for rushing to find out what the status of the relationship between Uhuru and Raila is, what the status of the handshake is. Because the immediate question on many minds of Kenyans was what has changed? What is happening with the handshake? Why are Jubilee fielding a candidate in Kibra, an ODM stronghold? Well, I answered that question in my previous video. If you missed it, make sure you catch it. In a nutshell, this is high-tech political games underway. So Tuju finishes his press conference, and the reporters and the journalists rush back to the newsroom to file their stories. And as they're working on their stories, pop, a press release lands. And these reporters must have said, well, we're expecting that. Bwana Tuju promised us a press release after he gave us his manenos at the press conference. And even if we got one which did not have very many details, this is probably a follow-up press release. And looking at it, sure enough, it has the signature of Raphael Tuju. And so, quite a number of news outlets filed their story and said, yes, Jubilee are fielding a candidate in Kibra, and amongst those vying for the Jubilee ticket is a very famous name, McDonald Mariga. Minutes after this story appeared, Raphael Tuju was on the line to the press. What are you guys doing? I didn't say Mariga is on the list. You guys misquoted me. Something like that. And then, of course, the journalist must have brought to his attention the contentious, mysterious press release with his signature. And sure enough, that press release said that MacDonald Mariga was amongst those who were going to contest in Kibra. And those of us who followed up behind the scenes heard from Jubilee insiders, yes, MacDonald Mariga is going to vie for that seat. But then here is Raphael Tuju strongly denying any such story, any such intention by the Jubilee party. Now, hold on a minute. Yeah, let us be very sober here. We all know that these days, when you talk about the Jubilee party, you need to be specific. What Jubilee are you talking about? Are you talking about the Jubilee allied to President Uhuru Kenyatta? Or are you talking about the Jubilee that is also christened the Tanga Tanga team? Because both are the Jubilee party. Now, with that piece of information, everything suddenly becomes very clear. Yeah, and it is this. The Tanga Tanga team want to front MacDonald Mariga, to vie for the Kibra seat. And since it is no secret, the Jubilee left hand does not know what the Jubilee right hand is doing. The other faction of the party has no idea, and it appears are not interested. Well, all that is obvious, but there's something else which is even more important, if we want to understand this puzzle. And it all has something to do with timing. Somebody who understands very well how the media works did their timing very precisely. Because the press release was not released in the morning. It was not released before Raphael Tuju's press conference. In fact, what happened is that it was released almost immediately after Raphael Tuju's press conference. And since it bore the signature of Raphael Tuju, a section of the press immediately rushed and filed the story that Raphael Tuju had actually confirmed, via the press release, that MacDonald Mariga was amongst the individuals seeking the Jubilee party ticket. What that tells you is that the motive here could only have been one. And the motive was to force, to bully, the entire Jubilee party, to corner the Jubilee party into a situation where they would have no option, but to have MacDonald Mariga as one of the candidates. Now, the only reason why somebody would want to do that is because they knew either the idea had already been rejected, or they knew if they presented the idea, it would not be accepted by a faction of the Jubilee party. Therefore, what you do is you make the whole thing public. You take the discussion away from the secret meeting place, the Jubilee boardroom, and you put it out there in the public. Now, you have to admit that was a very smart political play. Now, I'm not saying it is ethical. And indeed, I've said on this channel many times, politics has no ethics. Politics has no rules. Indeed, the only rule is that thou shalt not be caught. And that is precisely the reason why you hear everybody saying politics is a very dirty game. If you want to call it a game. Because many times it's a matter of life and death. Now, I don't know of any game where things become a matter of life and death. But politics is exactly like that. Now, to confirm this, the Tanga Tanga team have said very clearly that what a faction of the Jubilee party wants to do is to field a weak Jubilee candidate and therefore guarantee a win for the ODM party in Kibra. In other words, what Team Tanga Tanga are telling us is that the Jubilee party is in the Kibra race with no intentions of winning. What? Does that ever happen in politics? Yes, sometimes, but very rarely. and with very clear objectives. And so again, I refer you back to my previous video. In case you missed it, there's a link at the top right side of your screen right now. Just click on it, put that video aside, and you'll go back to it, and you'll understand completely what is going down here. And so in a nutshell, these latest developments seem to confirm what I've said in that video I've referred you to, which is the handshake principals had a plan for Kibra. And they sat down, put their ducks in a row, and decided to go ahead with this plan. However, Team Tanga lurking in the background, and of course having access to the information of what was going on, decided to throw a spanner into the works. And so, because I want us to maintain clarity in this issue. And so, the big story here is not McDonald Mariga vying for Kibra. No. The big story here is the spanner being thrown into the works. And we know who did it. Team Tanga. And what makes it even more fascinating is that Team Tanga is in Jubilee. Therefore, they have a right, being still in Jubilee, the political party, to make suggestions, to bring forward ideas, and even to front candidates. And the excuse Team Tanga will bring up almost immediately, I can assure you, is that what they're doing because the party leader has refused to allow the party to meet since the handshake. And so, tungefanya nini? That is what you'll hear Team Tanga saying. And by the way, this latest development, very clearly lifts up the infighting within Jubilee to a new level. And that level is much higher than what we've been seeing before. Now, there's one more super fascinating issue here. And that is the ability of Deputy President William Samoei Ruto to headhunt, to very carefully select his political candidates. We have a phrase in the corporate world, which is very crude, but also very descriptive. Headhunters. This refers to the human resources department of large companies, where they go out looking for talent, usually fresh, inexperienced talent to nurture and build up, but sometimes underutilized and undiscovered talent already existing in the industry in other companies, usually rival companies, but sometimes companies in other unrelated fields. And I find it super fascinating that Deputy President William Samoei Ruto's candidates fit a certain profile. Actually, the hustler profile. Now, let us take a quick look at two individuals that DP Ruto handpicked and brought into politics. There's a man who used to be called Samson Dindi. He was a Nairobi businessman. Very prosperous. These days, most Kenyans know him as Ndindi Nyoro, the Kiharu legislator. Bwana Nyoro, or Honorable Nyoro, was born to a peasant farmer stroke carpenter in 1985. Paying school fees was always a big problem for him, and it even affected his choice of schools. Indeed, after he finished his Form 4 exams, he was detained in school for several months, working as a librarian for the school. Why? So that by working, he would be able to clear his arrears of 30,000. And during his school days, Bwana Nyoro was also a cobbler. He repaired shoes for his fellow students. He even ran food kiosks, to try and make ends meet and all kinds of businesses to hustle and to survive in life. And he ended up as a very prosperous businessman. Bottom line, no rich father, no famous father. Let's look at another individual. Charles Kanye is the musician known as Jaguar, who gave us the hit song Kigeugeu, a song that was a runaway hit right across East Africa and made Bwana Jaguar a tidy sum. But not many people know that Jaguar lost his mother at the age of 11. Not many people know that Jaguar had to work as a tout. Yes, a matatu tout, in order to be able to pay for his survival and to pay to finish school. But before Jaguar entered politics, he was already a very prosperous businessman with interests in real estate, aviation, transport. He even owns a fleet of luxury cars, which he operates as a business. No rich father, no famous father. And I can go on and on. This secret weapon by the deputy president ensures that the people he picks will always be very loyal to him, whatever happens. Come rain, come shine. And he has been very careful not to make it obvious that he is the power behind the sudden rise of these young politicians. Now, bila kizungu mingi, the bottom line here is a very simple question. What else has Deputy President William Samoei Ruto done that will put him way ahead in the 2022 presidential polls? Now, don't get me wrong. I've not suddenly received an envelope from the Tangatanga team. No. Folks, all I'm doing is my work. I'm a very sober political analyst. And luckily, fortunately, I've also seen a lot in politics. How people are blindsided. You look at a politician in a certain way, kumbe you don't know what the guy has been up to. And then suddenly, you find that your candidate has lost an election. And that election was not rigged. They just lost the election fair and square. And the reason why they lost it is that they didn't know enough about the opponent. And so I believe my work here is to reveal as much as I can, in fact everything that I'm able to reveal on a public channel, about politics and information on politics that I come across. Even if this information is about a candidate you don't want to hear about. Because I assure you, today it could be a candidate you do not want to hear about. Tomorrow, if you don't take this information seriously, it could be a candidate that is your president. And as I've said on this channel many times before, I don't hate the deputy president. But I very firmly believe he is not the right candidate to be a president of the Republic of Kenya. And that's just my view. You're welcome to yours. But having that view, I will not be blinded as to what people are capable of. Mark those words very carefully. Now, McDonald Mariga fits like a glove into the same profile. Dindi Nyoro, Charles Kanye, these are all the same people. Same background. Which only leads me to one conclusion. That indeed, McDonald Mariga is a Deputy President William Ruto project. Until next time, this is Chris Kumekucha.